Good morning. Today is Monday, March 30th, and my name is Pamela French from Authentic Relating Ottawa, and it's great to be here with you in this moment. Whenever you're watching this video, perhaps it's coming to you at just the right time. I've cultivated a belief in my life that most things come to me at just the right time, whether or not I caught them live or they crossed my path later. It's kind of like when you open a book and you just randomly select a page and you read a paragraph or two and you're like, oh, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now or read right now. I am coming off of a fantastic weekend. It was the Authentic Leadership and Facilitation training this weekend, and there were 4 courageous souls who committed to diving deep into what leadership means for them in their life and in the communities that they wish to lead. And pivoting, adapting, recalibrating everything to have it be online was a huge capacity expansion for me and such a gift. I mean, the amount of depth of connection that can be achieved, even though we can't be in the same room together, is still very profound in my experience so far. And if you're not finding that level of profundity in your experiences online, then I'd love to chat because I'm really curious. I've always considered myself a bridge builder. That I like to learn new tools, new ways of being, new ideas, new paradigms, and then try them on in my life and really embody them and integrate them and see what works and what doesn't. And then take what works and then tell everyone about it and invite anyone who wants to walk from wherever they are to whatever I've experienced and how I can share that experience for them. Yeah, definitely a bridge builder. I wonder if that will go on a new business card someday. Hi, my name is Pamela and I'm a bridge builder. So the bridge that I'm building for myself right now that I felt really called to share with all of you is, it's a recalibration time for me. It's kind of funny when we first went into this quarantine and self-isolation, I was overwhelmed with all of the desire from people in my life to communicate with me. And I literally had to start turning off all of the notifications on my phone. And I just couldn't handle the incoming requests for communication. And as I surfed Facebook and Instagram, all of these live things happening, I mean, there are more musicians giving concerts and yoga teachers teaching classes online that I would love to be a part of than ever before in my experience. And yet I found all of this going out. Even though I'm not leaving my house physically, energetically to me, it feels like I'm leaving myself and my experience, and I'm stepping into an experience shared with others. And very quickly I discovered that I needed to come back in and come back into my own thoughts, to be with myself, to cultivate a conversation with what's happening inside of me, where I would like to take things, what I'm learning, what I'm growing through all of this. And for me, it's funny, I was talking to a few close friends a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know, I'm feeling a little torn between, I know myself to be a very powerful creator of my own experience, my own reality. And for any of you who have spent like a weekend with me at a workshop or something, I often refer to myself as a bliss bunny. And I was like, one of my thoughts near the beginning of all of this was, I could totally create a bliss bubble around my house. Like we could plan crafts and art and, books we want to dive into together, because I live in a household with friends and community. And so I have some people to interact with and I have some alone space. And I thought, I could turn off my phone. I could not participate in anything happening in the outside world. And I could easily, isolate and retreat into this bliss bubble. Or this is what I was torn between, I feel this calling to be out in the world and to share from my heart and my experience, and to allow the wisdom that I've gained over decades of studying so many things to be shared in a way that might elevate, empower others. Empowering others is really at the core of why I think I exist in this time and space. And so I created these coffee contemplations as a way to be in relationship with you and to fulfill on that core value of empowerment. And I have so many other ideas of things that I'm looking forward to building structures and ways of sharing with you. And I vacillate between this bliss bubble and leading and being out in the world. And it wasn't until today that I realized, gosh, I was applying an either or paradigm to these things, that I'm either in my bliss bubble or I'm out in the world, but that they don't exist simultaneously. And so I'm sharing this with you in hopes that it serves you in some way. If there is an either or that has been super alive in your thought patterns lately, what if it's an and? What if I can retreat, recalibrate, refresh, reinvigorate, renew myself in the bliss bubble and retreat from the world? Not because the world is too much for me, or because I'm afraid of what's happening in the world or how I might react, but because I love myself so much that I'm willing to give myself that gift, that time and space, the compassion to know that when I feed myself, then I have so much more to give. There's a well to give from. So for those of us who feel called to mother, sister, wife, I'm speaking from my own feminine experience, but for those of us who feel as though we have roles to play that nurture or care for others or support them in any way, perhaps there is a reframe available for us. And that reframe is one of, yes, I can give to myself in this moment and find this balance, this interplay, this connectivity, this symbiosis of bliss bubble, or whatever the word is for you. Maybe it's a rest bubble or a rejuvenate bubble or a self-love bubble. And being out there and of service to others and giving from that well source that I have drunk from myself first. And so I wish you well in your journey to discovering what is the balance for you. Or do you want to go full out on one end and then turn your phone off for a week and be full in on the other end? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think it's completely unique. And I think it's unique day to day. But because I'm also committed to speaking from the laboratory for living mindset, we live in a world that requires participation in it. And I also believe that we are nourished by connection with others, both seen and unseen. And what comes from that commitment to being a laboratory for living, or speaking from the laboratory for living mission, is I follow Jim Quick's podcast. I love his 15 minutes of bang, here's something you can do today to play with. And it comes from a very playful mindset. And one of the things that I was recently listening to, like within the last month, was the author of the book Tiny Habits, and how when we want to cultivate a new habit in our lives, sometimes tiny micro choices are what start the momentum to building that habit in our lives. And so I'm going to vulnerably share with you a tiny habit that I've started, which is every time I use the toilet, while I'm washing my hands, do 5 squats. Because my commitment to myself was that I wanted to feel strong. I wanted to feel strong in my body. And I knew I wasn't going to start doing some online classes. I wasn't going to go to a gym. I'm not likely to set aside an hour every day or keep the commitment, even if I did it for 2 days in a row. But I do go to the toilet and use the toilet all the time, every day. And I do wash my hands afterwards for 20 to 30 seconds in the prescribed manner. And while I'm doing that, why not add the habit of squats? And I'm amazed at the strength that I'm starting to feel in my body and how it feels so easy and natural now. And it's fun. It's fun, even though I feel a little silly sharing it with you. And so, tiny habits. What is a tiny habit? Maybe finding that balance for you is, not turning your phone on until noon, or putting a book beside your bed that you want to read first thing in the morning for 10 minutes, or putting a 10-minute nap into your afternoon schedule. Or maybe there's an even tinier habit available to you, like you're going to put a Post-it note on your mirror that says something that really warms your heart and brings you a sense of, that sense. That sense that things have slowed down and there's no need to do anything and no need to get anything and no need to change anything. That in this very moment, right here as we breathe together, we're okay. I wish you a very peaceful day. And I want to thank you so much for tuning into these coffee contemplations with me. I've been sharing more of what's happening for me and the guidance that I'm receiving to share with people through Instagram for Authentic Relating Ottawa, starting to upload these videos and create others for our YouTube channel as well. And we're on Facebook and Meetup, so there's lots of ways to connect with me and with the community of Authentic Relating Ottawa. And I really appreciate your presence, your comments, and your feedback, either publicly or to me directly. It means a lot. Thank you so much for sharing.